Welcome to Framework. This is John, one of the hosts of Framework. With me, as always, the other host of Framework, Al. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, John. We are here today to discuss the works of Bill Murray. The life and works, let's call it.
Billiam Joseph Murray, of Chicago, of SNL, one of the most famous comedians and actors of the last 50 years, really. One of the most beloved. And, somebody that has meant an enormous amount to me in my life. And many millions of other people, too. And, we're going to talk about his career today.
The person we had to bring in. We thought, if we're going to talk about Brian Doyle Murray's little brother, we need Chris Prentice to help us put him in context.
Oh man, if you guys have me on for the Brian Doyle Murray podcast, I can go all day with Brian Doyle Murray. And his
spoilers! You're on it right now, man. This is as close as
Really? You're not going to create a Patreon just so we can drop a Brian Doyle cast?
A fantastic one-season arc on Get a Life for Brian Doyle Murray. I could go all day, but yeah, we are here for Bill Murray, and I'm very happy to be back, and I appreciate the invite.
Anytime, sir. We kind of need you for these career retrospectives. Had you on for Arnold and for Buscemi and Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, too.
Now have you on for Bill Murray. And now, I don't know, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. This actor is really important to me. I saw Ghostbusters when I was 5, and I decided that's how a man should be. That's who I will act like, I will try to focus on being like Dr. Peter Venkman, and a first role model for me in many ways. And, I don't know why. If I watch it now, I'm kind of confused by that,
It's very interesting how that works, that you said that's how a man should be. And I'm not sure that that's ever really how you look at it, but it's funny how early on we kind of intuit our roles in society and going like, yeah, I'm not going to grow up to be James Bond. Like, Sean Connery is never be within my reach. Peter Venkman might be.
It might be something like that.
That might be my upper limit in terms of masculinity somehow. But Chris, was Ghostbusters also your basically intro to Bill Murray as far as you remember? I think that's how it works for me.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I do remember Meatballs being on a lot back in those days. Kind of, they would throw that on TV a lot, and that was one when I was younger I liked, and then I kind of grew to hate it. It's got maybe the worst theme song ever for a movie.
Are you ready for the summer?
Oh, yeah. God, they're just his kids just screaming this song. It's like nightmare fuel. But yeah, I would say
it like at least 10 times fully.
Oh, are you ready for the summer? Oh, it's the worst. Terrible. It's abhorrent. But yeah, I would say really Ghostbusters was kind of like where I really knew was like, okay, this is Bill Murray. This is a cool guy. This is the guy you want to be like. You don't want to be like William Atherton. You want to be like Bill Murray.
Yes.
Even within the context. I mean, well, I guess some kids wanted to be Ray Stantz, but I would say not most.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Even Ray, I think, wants to be a little more Venkman-ish.
Well, maybe when they're doing the hunt in the hotel, you want to be Ray.
Yeah. That's you might be collecting the slime rather than getting it on you.
I mean, the main thing is you definitely want to smoke cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Ray does that very well. That bit where he's hanging from his mouth. Anyway, so...
Yeah, that's great. But this is not the Aykroyd cast. This is the Bill Murray cast.
That might happen one day. He's an interesting dude for certain. But
he's a genuine nut.
Yes.
But Bill Murray. Bill Murray is, well, of course, came to fame on Saturday Night Live. Before that was a sort of a low-rent drug criminal, as it turns out.
Oh, nice.
Was arrested for possession of marijuana with intention to sell in a Chicago airport.
Yeah. I wonder if he ever did business with Tim Allen.
Tim Allen was moving cocaine across the lake, so I don't know if they were using the same distributors or not. Those are
At some
uppers and
point,
downers.
They might have, maybe.
Yeah,
Paths could have crossed, no question. I mean, that would be a fun play to write.
Yeah.
One night in Miami, except it's 70s sketch comedians in the upper Midwest, like hiding out from the narcs.
Anyway, so he got into theater and performance through his brother, Brian Doyle Murray. It may surprise you to hear. It's kind of followed him to an audition, one of those kind of things, and would, of course, end up overtaking him in a cultural sense. As well, frankly, Brian Doyle Murray's doing fine. There's no need to shit on him, but
no. But it's interesting to me that I always presumed that the other Murray brothers were sort of pulled into performance by proximity to Bill. But
I think the rest were, yes.
Yeah. Okay. But Brian Doyle is interesting to me because he, this sort of applies to Bill in a way also. But what's the opposite of a chameleon? Like,
Brian Doyle Murray, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, a platypus or something. Like, you cannot pass him off as anything other than Brian Doyle Murray. He doesn't have a range exactly. And Bill Murray is just so kind of unique looking that he's not a chameleon either in that sense. He can't. The only bit of like real homework I did for this is I watched Where the Buffalo Roam last night, where he plays Hunter S. Thompson, and that's him trying to do a character and all, but he can't physically transform the way Johnny Depp will physically transform to actually resemble the real guy more in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which we're also going to record about like this week. Partly why I chose that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess as he's aged into his out of middle age and into his elder statesman era, now, like, I don't know, he doesn't look as, or he can look like more different types of old guy than he could in his prime.
I mean, there's a melancholy to him that is malleable, I think, and that comes to him with age, perhaps. That's something we'll get into. But he is part of this cohort of SNL where, it was the 70s guys were not like, they weren't good looking per se, but they had Chevy Chase was like the hot guy of that group.
Yeah, exactly. His whole identity there.
Yeah. Right, but it comes from the Aykroyd, John Belushi group there, and
True.
And he's also like a Chicago kind of guy. I'm not trying to impugn the attractiveness of the residents of Chicago, but there's a look.
I bet there is. Here's what I'll say about Chicago, having been here for 20 years now. Some amazing looking women around Chicago, but here. There's a reason I don't live in LA. I am sort of a classically handsome gentleman by Chicago standards.
I picture it as just a city full of Jeff Garlands. Just everywhere you look.
It's kind of in my imagination how it lives, yeah.
Well, it's set in the public imagination by Saturday Night Live and the superfans. Yes.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Which are not the Chicago guys, actually. Well, I don't know. They were all kind of groundlings at one point or another, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, those are clearly written with some local Chicago love, but it's almost funny. If you're going to do that kind of caricature, like, I don't know, that you're going to get the funniest Boston caricature out of Jimmy Fallon.
Right.
Even, like,
yes.
Having an outsider do it with a little bit of, maybe a little bit of genuine scorn in it. It's likely to make it a bit funnier, I think.
It's certainly the case with anyway, he's not one of the super fans. Well, he might have been at some point.
No.
I feel like
was Brian Doyle never a super fan?
No. None of the Murrays were ever a super fan. They brought in Aykroyd once to be a super fan. And
as it should be, yeah.
It started with Joe Mantegna. He was like the original guest super fan.
Oh, yeah.
And
he was like Bob Swirsky, and then it was always filling in for my brother Bob.
Well, then George Wendt was basically his brother, who he did the bulk of them. But yes,
they would bring George Wendt as a cameo, and then it would be Farley and Robert Smigel,
right, and Mike Myers
and Myers, yeah.
Yeah,
Myers
I
was great,
love
man.
those. Oh my goodness, when
Those
Farley
are
would
some of the
fake
best. They really are.
when Farley would do the heart attack bit. Oh my god! I mean, I'm sorry, it's
Oh, yeah.
maybe not as funny in retrospect, but I mean, actually, it is still funny in retrospect. It still is.
That would have been of the SNL characters that didn't get movies. I mean, I've always said Sprockets would have been the one I wanted, but I think Superfans might have been the best bet there. Actually, that would have been fun.
And somehow instead it got morphed into we got Celtic Pride.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
that would
even
have been the
worse.
basic plot of the Superfans movie.
Even worse, we got a Stewart Saves His Family movie. Yeah, that was like the same era.
I thought people kind of came up for that one these days.
I can't go with that. It's
no. The only person.
I mean,
who's
it's an
good at that
interesting cast.
Harris Yulin's great as his dad. Those are the only funny parts. He's hilarious. The rest of it,
I think
no.
D'Onofrio is the.
Yeah, I think
Vincent
he's the
D'Onofrio
brother.
like his brother.
Yes.
Yeah, that movie should be good.
There's got to be something. There's got to be a good scene or two from him in there. But let's take us back to Murray. Like, is there a Murray character that could have gotten an SNL spinoff movie if that was a thing? Like, I guess the Blues Brothers was the first one, which came a little after. Had Murray already moved on by then?
Yeah,
I mean,
that was early
yes,
80s.
I think that was 80
for Blues
right?
Brothers. Because I think that's the same year Caddyshack came out.
Let's see, I got it in front of me.
Was Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so all that original cast had
was he
moved
on this?
on by then. I don't think I can't really think of
crazy short window.
Yeah, I can't really think of any of his SNL characters that would have been worthy of a movie. I like the lounge.
I mean, Nick
singer.
the lounge singer.
That's like the only recurring character he had. I mean, his work on SNL is not really.
No,
he had the dorks with Gilda Radner.
Yeah, he's funny. He's great. He's Bill Murray. It got him in position to be in movies. Obviously, it was important. But as an SNL cast member, I don't really think of him as having a lot of breakout characters or sketches. The lounge singer's the one, really.
I mean, you really can't think of too many that that Chevy Chase did, but he had Weekend Update that first season, and that was kind of the breakout.
Gerald
bit.
Ford.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, there was that. Yeah. But it's like even just that 1 year, that was just enough of a lightning rod to kind of spin him off into movies. But yeah, it's like there really isn't as much obvious stuff from that show that you think of with Murray.
No, Belushi kind of like dominates the sort of at least the iconography of that period. You think of like the honeybees or the samurai, shit like that.
Sure.
Or Aykroyd even, I guess, has Julia Childs and the
the toy guy. Yeah, now that would have been a good movie. The toy guy selling products.
Honestly,
bag of glass.
At that point, it should have been a crossover thing where the toy guy was the villain, and Nick the lounge singer performs for a set piece.
An extended cinematic universe, essentially.
Oh yeah, would have been better than Neighbors.
Oh man, the number of Belushi projects that didn't work but should have. It's really frustrating. Yeah.
But we're here to talk about Murray. And
Murray.
Do you think Murray could have, if he had gotten Weekend Update, would that have changed his trajectory on Saturday Night Live, kept him around longer? Would he have been good in that role?
I think he left because it was time for Bill Murray to leave. And he was, always going to be a short round. I mean, none of them really stayed past 1980.
No.
That whole
there was
classic
the whole deck.
Yeah. They got out of there. Bill Murray was in Meatballs in 79. So, and that was a big hit. And, he was kind of hit the ground running at that point, Caddyshack's the next year. So is Where the Buffalo Roam. He's in movies at this point.
Yeah.
Making them with Ivan Reitman and Harold Ramis, he got off as quick as he could, like most of them, really.
Well, that's, I guess, the interesting thing about back then. Well, I mean, Saturday Night Live was not an institution the way it is now.
Right.
So it wasn't expected that if you were succeeding that you would stay around for 7, 8, 10 years.
Yeah, they became ready for prime time or more.
Yeah. And there also was not, it was just a stepping stone to movies if you were successful there. And there wasn't an established thing of, we can spin your SNL success into a movie either by doing a recurring character with their own movie, like Stewart Saves His Family or The Ladies' Maid or something, or just like we'll will bring a few other cast members along with you and let you like write and direct your own thing, like Tommy Boy or Hot Rod feel like they are in the SNL lineage more than say Caddyshack, which is in the National Lampoon comedy lineage. That's a different silo than Saturday Night Live in that era, is how it feels to me.
Absolutely, but there's also sort of cross-pollination with Murray and Chase in there,
Sure.
I mean, that was just 70s comedy. It was kind of, insular and in that way.
Well,
New England area, Northeast-based.
Yeah, it was basically like Murray, Chevy Chase, Harold Ramis were Caddyshack. Then it was John Landis, Aykroyd, Belushi, Blues Brothers. And it was kind of like every comedy the rest of the 80s had some kind of connection back to those two. And that, basically Caddyshack and Blues Brothers just set the whole stage for that decade.
Well, then let's focus on Murray's effort and contribution to that era, which was Meatballs. I think the first Ivan Reitman film, too. You kind of implied earlier, kind of a shitty movie.
It's good. I mean, it's good when you're 8, 9 years old.
Oh, yeah, it's terrific for 8 and 9.
Yes.
It is I think it's the first real snobs versus slobs. No, I guess Animal House would have to be that. But it's certainly the first big summer camp movie, I think, of the 80s. And that is a genre unto itself at that point. And it does set the tone for them, I mean, we have color wars. We have, counselors trying to get laid. We've got children screaming theme songs and the usual, like there's the fat guy, there's the nerd. It's a lot of that. The only thing in it that I think actually is great. Yeah, very much. I mean, I loved fat guy and nerd combo when I was a kid. I can promise you, a classic. Put him anywhere. Head of the class. Yeah.
Oh.
But Murray is the only thing in there that actually is great, I think. I kind of love him in that. And I have a strong memory of, hunting this down after Ghostbusters when I'm looking for all the man's work and finding his big speech at the end to be kind of moving and kind of clarifying in a way. And if you remember the scene, Al,
I've never seen Meatballs all the way through, actually. This is the big hole in my Murray filmography, but I'm familiar with the "It Just Doesn't Matter" speech.
Right. It's so great because it's such a realization when you're a kid watching the movie, because I was 6 years old, something like that, and I was invested in whether Camp Mohawk or Camp North Star would win the summer games here. I thought it mattered. I thought it's a movie. There are stakes. Yeah. I want the good guys to win. And when he comes out and says, it really doesn't fucking matter who wins this. There's no purpose to that. That does become a rallying call. And it's just, and it's I think actually a big Bill Murray moment for me formatively, because he's kind of removing something that I had taken for granted. And maybe for the first time that I'd seen something that had been established as meaning something be kind of immediately revealed to mean nothing. Which is an important thing that you realize at some point as a child, that some stuff does not matter.
Did that ruin every sports movie going forward? Like, would you watch Hoosiers and say, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter.
I think it colored them a little bit, honestly.
Yeah,
I think it is something that is in the back of my head after Meatballs. Is I can always be, it actually just doesn't matter.
If he beats Clubber Lang or not, who cares?
I don't know. I'd say it's more that it colored my view of Teen Wolf. And that I probably saw Teen Wolf on HBO when I was a kid and got pretty invested in him needing to win that basketball game.
Oh, those free throws at the end are, man, I was, good Lord. Is he going to make?
You can see the guy's face falling behind the backcourt line.
Yeah, it's like, how was that guy able to stand where he stood? Like, you can't stand there in basketball. He's like right underneath the hoop, like facing Michael J. Fox.
He's in the key.
I feel like that, I don't know, that never really made any sense to me.
Not like the rest of Teen Wolf. Yeah.
The rules are pretty clear that when a dormant werewolf is doing a 1-on-1 at the foul line, they need a clear line of sight.
Nothing in the rule book says a werewolf can't play basketball. Anyway.
Well, for the free throws, though, he had remember, he went back to regular Michael J. Fox. That was the thing.
Yes, yeah, for the final
do it
game.
without the
For the
wolf.
free throw.
Absolutely.
I mean, he'd already scored his 72 points as the werewolf. Then in the last minute, oh, come on, guys, let's do this the right way.
I wish this stuff worked on me still. God, can you imagine being able to take this sort of thing at face value at our age? Oh, well. Okay, so it's a big hit, and he gets to make more movies because of Meatballs, and they make many sequels, none of which he's involved with in any way, and all of which are just abominable films. I, of course, had to rent them all from the local video store in the 80s.
You had to see.
Yeah. Had to see.
I think it's Corey Feldman in Meatballs 4. I'm pretty sure it's Corey Feldman.
Yeah, that's
because I seem to recall that
I think that's as good as it gets. Yeah.
Well, he was. That was why he when Howard Stern used to do a Saturday night real cheap show. It was a great show, but it was super cheap back in the 90s, and that was kind of why Corey Feldman was on as a guest to promote Meatballs 4. So that's always. I never saw it, but it's always stuck in my head for that.
When did the rug, like the bottom, fall out on the Corey Feldman business? When did it get bad?
I think when he decoupled from Corey Haim and tried to sort of go it alone.
Yeah.
I think at a certain point he didn't want to be the third banana or the fourth banana in the Burbs or Stand By Me anymore, and unfortunately, that's all he was. I think he had he was talented enough, but mentally perhaps not equipped.
I mean, Gremlins, Goonies, the Good Friday the 13th
Lost Boys,
movies,
yeah,
Lost Boys. I
Good
mean,
Friday the 13th.
It's kind of amazing that he did screw it all up, but drugs and wanting to be Michael Jackson will do that.
Yeah, and possibly being abused by Michael Jackson. Not to get too dark on this detour, but
and then always saying, constantly promising to name all the people that abused him and Corey Haim, and being like, "Hey, read this book. I'm going to name names." They never does, and he's no Bill Murray. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've kind of tried to avoid rubbernecking the Corey Feldman train wreck that kind of seems to be going in slow motion for the last 15 years. The Bill Murray one I'm fascinated by. I will talk about that later, of course. Let's talk about where the Buffalo
We're still in his prime.
Yeah, what do you think of this movie, Al?
I think it, unfortunately, I mean, this is not how it would have been received at the time, but it just has to live in the shadow of the Gilliam Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Entirely, which is a much stranger, but somehow like it feels like it gets closer to the heart of the Hunter Thompson character by being so much weirder and more impressionistic than where the Buffalo Run can be. And Murray's giving it an admirable try. You can see he's not fully comfortable being a dramatic actor in this turn yet. But I think there's part of the reason why he maybe thought this is a good transition for him is, and so that might make it had made this role seem more accessible, but actually be more difficult than it is that Hunter S. Thompson as a figure is almost like a comedy sketch character.
Yes.
But it's a character with too many things going on at once for an actual comedy sketch.
Yeah, it's the movie itself. I think it's all wrong approach to the material, but I guess it's defensible, and it's sort of it almost feels like trying to do reportage a little bit. Yeah. And I don't. It just didn't come together on that project, and yes, it does kind of live in the shadow.
I know that it's true somewhat to life, but his monotone delivery, I can't stand it. Oh my gosh, it's terrible in that movie. It borderline ruins the whole thing. It's like I cannot enjoy him at all in that movie.
Are you similarly put off by Depp's version of it in Fear and Loathing, or is it specific to the Murray?
No, I think Depp actually pulls it off. It's not the fact that it is a monotone character that speaks that way. I just think Depp does a much better job with it. I don't know where the Buffalo roam. I don't know. I think it's just outright bad.
I mean, you would think it'd be right in his wheelhouse, right? Because Bill Murray is a master of deadpan. That's sort of
Yeah.
what he does the best. And he's also, you would think suited to take on this sort of cultural figure that is just sort of weirdly charismatic and dark. And there's a sadness to him, but he's also a bit crazy. It seems like
He's probably been arrested with actionable amounts of drugs in an airport.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a natural fit, and I think that it's the movie itself is the problem, because he was like hanging out with Hunter S. Thompson at the time.
Yes. He was. He has I saw a video of him telling a story about Hunter S. Thompson fishing him out of a pool where they got drunk, and he was trying to do a Houdini escape act by tying him to a pool chair and dropping him in.
Jesus. Yeah, It's too bad that didn't get captured in the film.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
And Peter Boyle doing the attorney in that is a pretty good performance as well. It's just
he comes off better, but it's still not enough to save that movie. It's like that movie doesn't really know what it wants to be. It's like it's kind of a drama, but then it has like the scenes in the hotel where he's playing football, and it's like they're obviously going for laughs, but none of it's very funny, and it's just bad.
It is. It's almost that it's a little too close to the counterculture. When I compare it to Fear and Loathing, especially like Fear and Loathing being made in the late 90s by people that were not in the hippie movement themselves. I mean, Gilliam to an extent, but a lot of people. It is so much more of an autopsy and a post-mortem of the thing, and it almost feels like maybe that's part of it being not knowing whether it's farce or reportage, is that it kind of doesn't want to fully admit that like maybe like these battles are lost, that's even though it's kind of the point of the story.
Yeah,
they don't win this, but they still want to make it wacky and fun and a little bit of meatballs to be in there, which that is the temptation with the Hunter Thompson character, is that he's wacky and weird and can have a good time, but also he's bitter and angry. And Murray is not as good at accessing that. I think
you would think he would be
8-10 years later.
Yeah,
he would have a much better handle on that whole thing.
It's true. That's the thing. Bill does not have much acting ability in the early part of his career. He has incredible sketch comedy ability, and he's a wildly charismatic person, obviously. I think he kind of finds his persona, and then he's great with that for a while. But like straight acting performances, it's a while. I think you could maybe make the argument that not till like Groundhog Day is he legitimately good in the empathy part of acting.
He gave it a shot with a Razor's Edge. That was like right after Ghostbusters. And I don't really remember a lot about it.
That one don't work.
Yeah, I just remember being bored like the whole way.
It's boring as hell.
Oh yeah, I mean, I eventually for some reason I just wanted to see it because people had always talked about how it was like, oh, he's really trying to be a dramatic actor, and it's horrid. But yeah, I mean, eventually he did get better with that.
Well, we'll return to his dramatic shift a little bit later on. For now, Buffalo Rome is a failure that sort of sends him back to retreating to the comedy persona entirely, right? With your Caddyshack and your Ghostbusters, your
Stripes right there in the middle. I think Stripes is underrated at this point. I really enjoy Stripes.
Stripes,
another one that was a big one. I was a kid.
I have the same issue with Stripes that I have with Spies Like Us, where it's like I love all the training stuff and everything when they're kind of getting ready for the mission, and then they kind of, when they go on the mission, I feel like it all kind of isn't quite as funny anymore. It definitely has its moments.
It was always funny to me how that was this sort of perfect comedy twin to Full Metal Jacket, in that it really peaks in the boot camp first half and then loses a lot of people in the second half when they go out into the field.
John Candy being the obvious analog for Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes, of course.
That's
and
that's the thing.
Warren
Candy's
Oates
great in
for
that.
Arlie
Ramis
Army.
is great in that. Warren Oates is really funny in that movie. I think that's a perfectly fine slobs versus snobs comedy, and and it's peak Murray. He's doing good stuff in it, and he's fine tuning that persona. When he's a loser New York cab driver in the first act, he's very funny. Like,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that first it's great. I think that the worst thing about Stripes is that it's impossible sort of to take it in a modern context without comparing it to Ghostbusters, which is a comedy with a really good third act. And that's
yeah.
pretty rare. It's really striking in contrast to Stripes.
is a special effects comedy with a strong third act. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, the secret of its success, one of the many. That's like the next film here. He's in Tootsie, you know. That's kind of a decent dramatic performance. It doesn't ask much of him, and it's still a comedy. But yeah, he's a nice flavor in that film. But yeah, the next year, well, I guess it's 1984 is the year he signs on to do Ghostbusters, replacing John Belushi, essentially, you know, in some very different version of the script that involves outer space and time travel and all sorts of crazy Dan Aykroyd shit.
Yeah.
On the explicit promise that he will be allowed to make The Razor's Edge afterwards, because he doesn't want to do this bullshit comedy anymore at this point in his career. He wants to be a serious actor, play Hunter S. Thompson, and make W. Somerset Maugham adaptations. So
And he
the
sort of
only
accidentally cements his persona forever.
yeah, exactly. You know, it makes his biggest hit of all time, his most defining comedy, one of the great American comedies, one of the defining '80s movies, and yeah, sort of on accident.
Yeah, and so defining that like they're gonna keep just throwing up money at him for the next 50 years to come back to it.
Always. Yeah.
No matter, even though it doesn't work the first time they come back to it, and even though he really doesn't not interested in that, but obviously eventually.
It kind of never works again, really. I mean, it's kind of like it never
it
quite
really
is
doesn't.
as good as that. Yeah.
But also, somebody just
it's not quite. A lot of people love part 2. It's just, to me, it just does not have the same energy.
it's got bits and pieces to it that are good, but
Sure.
overall, I mean, it's got the biggest sort of like old school sequel problem. Back before sequels were, you know, before part 1s were designed to be prequels to the sequel, and everything was like, you can't even get anything made if there's not a potential for 5 films at least. The old school problem is just, well, let's run it back and do the exact same thing all over again. And the worst version of that is that requires everybody in the world to forget about everything that happened in the first movie so we can do all the same beats again. And there's no greater offender in that regard than Ghostbusters 2.
That's true. Yeah, it's an insane choice, really, the way it's done. I do like Vigo. You know, there's stuff in it that's fun.
Vigo's great,
Yeah. It has. It's not a terrible movie, but coming on I say the heels. It was 5 years later, but you know, coming after the original, it just does not measure up. You know, I mean, not that it has to be as good. I mean, that would have been very, very difficult, but it just feels like a real pale imitation of the first one. And he's, you know, that first one is just, it's so perfect. I mean, just everything works. Like the effects work, the characters, the dialogue. It's just, there's nothing wrong with it.
The New Yorkness of it.
Yeah.
One of the best New York movies.
It's still got like a couple toes in the 70s of New York, it feels like. And that's.
Yes.
Location shooting around the park, so good. It also has, and I think this is very often forgotten and underrated, like a very sound Lovecraftian horror narrative to it. Like the monster in there is actually like really creative and interesting and weird and
threatening.
Yeah, like in a way that like the movie it's way above its weight class. Like that is a crazy swerve to bring that Gozer shit into that film. Like, you know, you would think they'd just fight a big mean ghost at the end, you know, something like that. It's like, no, world-devouring multi-god thing. Like, right out of D&D or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of thought put into that third act, and
by Dan Aykroyd, of course.
I mean, as much as I, you know, absolutely love that first movie, I still have not seen the most recent 2 films. I just can't get myself to watch them. I think that with Afterlife, you know, it was like, maybe I'll watch this. And then once I heard that it was like a CGI Egon showing up, I just said, no, I'm not doing it. Nope, can't do it.
You guys don't need to watch those. I can reporting from the trenches. You're good. You're okay there. Like the worst thing that can happen to you might be if it works at all on you too, is the thing. Like,
well, it's interesting. Ghostbusters has had like really bad versions of the two different types of bad sequels now. That like those are bad. I project because they're bad legacy sequels, and that is its own brand of cursed object these days. But prior to that, it had the bad version of the 80s and 90s sequel where we're repeating a premise that is kind of irrepeatable to with greatly diminishing returns. And that's comedy sequels especially. That's still a nut that we're struggling to crack.
Super tough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just Meatballs. It's also Ghostbusters, and that may have been enough to, and Caddyshack too.
Oh my!
So Murray probably instituted a no sequel policy after a certain point.
Well, I think the only ones he's ever participated in were Ghostbusters. There's rumors that he wanted to play like the Riddler, some shit like there's things like that. I don't think he's ever made a sequel.
He appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay, fine, yeah, okay, he does after Razor's Edge fails, take a sabbatical. And give up on Hollywood for like 4 years. Because you would think, having just starred in Ghostbusters, world would be his oyster. No. He had to go work on his brain. He had major problems with Razor's Edge being the failure and Ghostbusters being the hit, and checked out. He appears in nothing for 4 years except a cameo in Little Shop of Horrors, which is really funny, actually.
Yeah,
he's great in that.
He's very good there.
And I think the only thing he's done in a movie with Steve Martin ever, which is weird if you think about it.
Yeah. You would have thought that they would have been paired up in something with a much more substantial part for both of them. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, maybe too prickly for each other.
Possible.
Maybe. Yeah,
well, but does he work with Chevy more than once?
SNL appearances. Yeah.
No.
They definitely hate each other.
But then that makes their scene in Caddyshack actually kind of great. That
it does.
There's a lack of affection between them that makes that scene work for me.
Well, I always think it's interesting how I feel like for both of them, Chevy and Bill Murray, I feel like there's almost as many stories I've read about them being truly terrible, but really Chevy's the only one where it's really stuck to him to the point where it basically ended him. Whereas, Bill Murray, it's like time after time I hear about, it's Lucy Liu hated him on this, and Gina Davis hated him on Quick Change, and this person, and then all the stuff with the movie that got canceled, with that happened to, was it Being Mortal was the name of it, and what he did to get that. And so it's just to me amazing how it's almost just as many awful stories for him as Chevy, but it just doesn't stick to Bill Murray anywhere near as it has for Chevy.
Well, that definitely part of that is because there are no counterweighting stories about Chevy being a nice guy or a good guy. Like those stories tend to be on set difficulties and difficulty to work with.
Yeah.
But especially if you're up here around Chicago, he has got this fairy godfather reputation. Where he's sort of a folk hero around here. If you happen to run into him out and about, which is somehow a genuine possibility over the years, you end up getting a great story out of it about how he's a nice guy. And no one has ever told a behind-the-scenes story about Chevy Chase that put him in a flattering light.
No.
Or even I saw him in an airport story.
It is crazy. I'm glad you brought this up. This is something I wanted to get into, is the disparity in his and Chase's reputations. Because yes, there's a lot of similar stories. There's
tons.
A lot of instances. Have you seen the Seth Green one? That's my favorite.
Oh yes, that is
the Seth Green one's the best.
Yeah, dangling over a garbage can.
Oh, I heard he had actually put him in the garbage can and
I'm sure he did.
And then pronounces, "This is where trash belongs."
Yeah,
or something like that. This is like Seth Green when he's 10 years old on the set of an SNL that Murray's hosting. It's It's
It's
hilarious.
I've heard that one. That's and it's not that I'm like 100% opposed to Seth Green being put in a garbage can. Like that's not like I'm not
That's
like that's
just blind
terrible.
luck, though, that it turns out that Seth Green is the right person to have done that to as a child.
Yeah,
well, he's very small too. Yeah,
he is.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's like, look, Bill Murray probably put a bunch of other not famous people in trash cans when they were children too that we never heard about. So it's there's.
I'm telling you, people around here would tell that story with such pride.
yeah.
That I was 8 years old and Bill Murray put me in a trash can and berated me. But also, it's Seth Green. Yeah, I don't have anything against Seth Green exactly, but he's not the most likable guy, and did just fine. Has somebody who really has. You talk about punched above their weight. He's got he is a media mogul somehow, and I'm not sure that he's a talented guy. I don't know if he's pillar of the entertainment community level of talent.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's an aside.
It's like it's not like it was just some random kid, and I'm not like really.
I'm saying that there were probably about 100 or some other random kids.
Probably
that were brutalized by Bill Murray. but we don't want him to be canceled is the thing. I think that there is a distinct like defensiveness that people are like, no, fuck that. I'm going to like Bill Murray. Thank you very much.
Well, it's like
and Chase never had that.
His actions literally ended a movie's production, and it's like people are just kind of like, these things happen. Let's just, we'll move on, and I'll go make another movie and just have Keanu Reeves in it instead, and nobody will go see it. But it's like it literally just destroys an entire production.
And no one's like, I think everyone was like, you stop that, Bill, or otherwise we're going to have to get really mad at you next time.
No, it's like,
there was some pushback for him, but.
I mean, what I've heard about since then is just like, he has reflected on the way that he's acted, and he's definitely realizes that he needs to be a better person. And I feel like almost nobody else in these situations gets that. Nobody. It's like nobody is saying, maybe this is a terrible, terrible example. It was just the first one that came. Brett Ratner. Nobody's saying, Brett Ratner's had time to reflect, and he's now he understands how terrible he was. That's not going to happen for him. It's not going to happen for Jeremy Piven. It's not going to happen for a lot of these people. But Bill Murray, it's like,
I'd say Piven's a much better example. Like Ratner's thing is like. Yeah. Epstein adjacent, which I don't like to think. Like, I think at this point we really need to be careful about separating our brushes from certain colors and dresses, because there's some stuff that's in a different vein. Chevy Chase is an interesting thing, but as a contrast to Murray, but I think also with both of them, there's a similar fact. Like Chevy Chase is interesting because he got himself canceled before Me Too came around. He just got himself canceled by his peers in the industry because everybody got tired of him.
Yeah.
And Murray is somebody, I think part of the reason that he's a little resilient is why we really don't want to put him there is it was already sort of baked into his career narrative. I've gotten older, I've gotten wiser, I've reflected upon my youthful, misdeeds, and there's that regret hangs on him and is part of it. And that was baked into his persona by the time Me Too came around and people started getting harsher about coming down on these misdeeds.
It's interesting. I mean, how important was the Rushmore performance? Like that, it's all those things in one kind of package that is an announcement. There's some stuff to cover before we get to that. And I think this is a good moment to bring up that his comeback after his sabbatical is to play Ebenezer Scrooge, essentially. Which is a villain protagonist. And I think the first time we're kind of, being asked to view him in a negative way, even as he's sort of, always been sort of a sarcastic asshole in his persona. This is the first time it's a bad thing. Now,
the first time he has to actually grow out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you kind of love him in this. This is full on 1980s Bill Murray persona, and I love his performance in Scrooged. But it is structurally the antagonist of the story in a way. Or not?
Yeah,
That's not quite right.
Well, I mean, he's roughly the protagonist, but he's the bad guy.
The villain protagonist, yes.
But that's something that's just inherent to a Christmas Carol.
Exactly. Yes. You need a bad guy actor to play this role as often as not.
But it's interesting that he goes on to do. I mean, ultimately, Groundhog Day is an even better Ebenezer Scrooge performance.
Yes, it is.
It's like the best one up there, with Michael Caine and the Muppet Christmas Carol.
But that's the thing. He's already kind of ladling this into the established persona, which is the smartass, and he's kind of able to find ways to make that. Well, he's an asshole who gets better, who acknowledges his assholeness and improves, and that this is kind of becoming part of his thing early on here. So he makes that. He makes Ghostbusters 2. Then he directs a movie called Quick Change, which I actually just watched again recently. Is an interesting
fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long time. I remember really liking it.
It's funny. Yeah.
That's one of my favorites that he's ever done. Really, I love those kind of movies that are all like in the same day, and it's just trying to catch the plane, trying to do this, and everything gets in your way. And I think speaking of people ostracized, I think Randy Quaid's really funny in that. I like Gina Davis in it, and despite whatever issues that she had with Murray, I think they all really work well together. And it's kind of hard to believe that that's the only one that he's directed, because I think he did a great job.
That's what's really interesting about it, is that he directed it.
Yeah,
and never really tried to do that again. Like, it was a one and done.
Yeah. And
it makes me curious, like, what the experience of that was. That, why did he want to do it? Why did he stop doing it? It's because the movie just feels like feels like a pretty normal Bill Murray movie in many ways. I think it's, reflective of his persona at the time. A little better than some of the stuff he does later. In fact, this is still the good days here. He's about to do What About Bob and Groundhog Day? Yeah.
I think maybe it's, one, directing is hard, and
sure.
I think the people there, you don't need like special circumstances to decide that it's best left to the professionals, and you could have a whole career doing other stuff.
It probably is that simple. Yeah.
I also wonder too, like, reason I have, I'm married to a teacher, and I have great respect for the profession. I would always be petrified of being a teacher myself, just because I feel like I have such terrible karma from being a horrible student for so many years.
Yeah.
That I would have I would have it coming to me when I had crappy, difficult kids, and no ground to stand on to really do it. And I wonder if there's a little bit of that with oh man, I would much rather be the asshole in the back of the class than the guy trying to actually wrangle the front of the class. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. He goes on to make What About Bob right after that, where he clashes with Richard Dreyfuss, as many have done before.
Another great example, though, that movie is completely not harmed by them genuinely not liking each other.
It seems to be greatly enhanced.
It's better.
There's a really good, a great YouTube channel called Hats Off Entertainment, and they actually just did a really good video all about What About Bob, and all about the troubles between Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. It's a great video, and oh man, yeah, that's but yeah, I think, and given what that movie is about, the fact that they couldn't stand each other, it helps. It's a big part of why that movie works.
It's palpable and makes the movie feel a little different than other studio comedies that, feel of it like similar kind of stripe. Something like House Guest with Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn, It's a movie that's completely forgotten
House
now.
Guest is
House Sitter.
Is
House Guest is
Sinbad
and
Phil
Phil Hartman. You're right. Yeah. Well, similar dynamic, actually.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, What About Bob definitely feels meaner. It definitely has more of, like a rock in the snowball kind of energy to it. And yeah, I think it's because, it's about two assholes fighting with each other on set as much as it is the premise of the film. It's also one where I think everyone's on Murray's side. Dreyfuss is sort of notoriously unpleasant. And
well, it's on screen and off screen.
Yeah,
that's the purpose of the movie too.
It's a good one though. I like that it holds
Yes.
up. And then the next year is Groundhog Day, which a landmark, seismic, important film. Just as a studio comedy, maybe top shelf. It's not as big a hit as Ghostbusters, but it probably has as much of a cultural legacy. And
it's definitely one that
this would have been a good one nominated for an Oscar for.
It's definitely one that, I mean, it has grown since it came out. I mean, it was a successful movie when it came out, but I feel like maybe a good 10 years after is when it really kind of just exploded and people were really starting to get into Groundhog Day more than they did when it first came out.
Well, I mean, it never seemed to go away, really. I mean, at this point, it's its own subgenre of film,
Well, that's what I'm coming to here as we're talking. Like, Murray was involved in minting more new subgenres than I thought. Like, if Meatballs really was the first summer camp movie,
Yeah.
subgenres of comedy, and Ghostbusters is the first big special effects driven comedy, at least the first successful one I can think of. And then Groundhog Day did completely invent a new template of movie that now you can do a Groundhog Day thing, and that's a reference point.
It's like a really good structure. Those movies usually work too, is the thing. Like, or any given episode of TV that decides to do a Groundhog Day, it kind of just works, You just get to see the scene a second time and then a third time and then doing it different every time. It's just interesting to watch every time. Keep the camera in the same place, like it's
well,
it works.
And even like looking forward a little bit, as much as Bottle Rocket existed, he is kind of involved in minting the Wes Anderson movie, which is its own subgenre of movie. Like nobody else really makes Wes Anderson movies, but now there's enough of them to fill a whole shelf if you still had a video store around.
I would agree. I think even you could even make an argument that Lost in Translation is that.
Yeah,
and he's in the first Disney reboot, live action reboot.
That's true. Yeah. Well, nobody bats 1,000.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill Murray.
I'm not back in fast. We kind of we talked about Ghostbusters 2 a little bit.
Right.
That's in there too in this run after he comes back. And we talked about it a little bit, but one thing I wanted to mention about that, I think, is it possible that the biggest problems with the worst things about Ghostbusters 2 are Murray and Sigourney Weaver, or their characters having to be involved in a way that does not fit? Because like the Vigo stuff is kind of great, and the nice swerve, and there's still some of the New York stuff in there, but I think having to reset the reality of the entire world is just functionally, I guess, broken from the start. But Venkman and Dana seem shoehorned in there to a degree.
Well, it's the same problem as that, everyone forgot about Ghosts, which is that we've kind of had to do a hard reset on their relationship, which was a mistake as well. And kind of a hard reset on Dana Barrett, because, she goes from being a cellist in the New York Symphony Orchestra to an art restoration expert in 5 years as well, which is, and during which time she, her relationship with Murray breaks down. She has a child with another man who leaves her, and she has a massive career swap. It's a whirlwind of experiences for Dana Barrett there. And I would push back though, because I actually think that the two of them are kind of the only, aside from from Janosch, I think they're kind of the only really engaged actors in that movie. And I think they like doing scenes together. I think they've got excellent chemistry. Bill's got excellent chemistry with a lot of people. And Sigourney Weaver is maybe his best romantic pairing, I think, just on pure chemistry level. So I like their scenes together a lot. I
would have to say the Groundhog Day romance is more successful overall, but it's not because he has better chemistry with Andie MacDowell.
No. I think Groundhog Day kind of works in spite of Andie MacDowell, frankly. But
I think that's fair. I haven't seen Ghostbusters 2 in so long that I couldn't say that how engaged they are.
That's basically every Andie MacDowell movie.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of her. But she doesn't ruin Groundhog Day or anything like that. It's not terrible. Mad Dog and Glory comes out the same year. Do we have a moment to speak of Mad Dog and Glory?
I've never seen that one, so
it's great.
Walk me through it.
It's great.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool movie.
He plays like a heavy at that, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons it's so good, because you would think on paper that they would have the opposite of each role. You would think that
they swapped roles is the story.
Yeah, you would think Murray would be kind of the schlubby cop that nobody really respects and nobody has any time for, and then you'd have De Niro as the big time gangster. But I think the fact that they take kind of the opposite role. That's what I love about that movie, and I think they're both really good in it. And
it's kind of a cool movie, yeah.
Yeah. Also, a tremendous David Caruso Mike Starr fight scene in that movie.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Incredible.
Those are their respective buddies.
Yes.
De Niro has like really good chemistry with Uma Thurman in that. It's one of the more successful De Niro romances, I believe. That's a good film. And one that I think would surprise people to watch now. Like there's bad versions of this movie, and this one works.
Yeah, because I remember that one came out like pretty much the exact same time as Groundhog Day. I mean, maybe just a few weeks apart. And Groundhog Day was kind of the one that sort of captured that moment and went on to big success. And Mad Dog and Glory was kind of gone a week later, basically. But yeah, it's well worth watching.
Then he does some cameos, not cameos, supporting roles in fairly excellent supporting roles in Ed Wood, Kingpin, and Space Jam.
Yeah, I love him in Ed Wood. He's not a huge part,
great, Ed Wood.
but he's great. And we get to see him share the screen with George the Animal Steel. That was a big treat, I know, for everybody. But yeah, I love him in Ed Wood. That's
was for me.
The moment that he gets baptized, and I think it's GD Spradling from Godfather 2 is the one doing the baptism. And he says whatever the thing, like, do you absolve yourself from the devil's sins? And just Bill Murray, just the perfect, yeah, sure.
Oh, sure. I think Ed Wood's really important. Like, almost that's him finally dipping back into like where the Buffalo Roam territory of I'm going to do something that's not my persona. It is a historic. I mean, I guess that's probably based on a real person. Maybe there's a little bit more pressure for there to be fidelity to something there, but it is. I mean, the Osher moment is very much. It has a little bit of Venkman flavor to it, but mostly he's doing something that's not the Bill Murray figure.
Well, a little. I mean, I think it's the fact that he can't really escape the Bill Murray figure. Whatever that means at this particular moment is just sort of a nice flavor on most of these roles. I mean, obviously for Space Jam, he's just doing that. He's just but Kingpin, is the outright villain of the piece. But like you end up basically liking him.
Yeah, I mean honestly, that's my favorite performance from him. It doesn't matter that he's not one of the leads. It's just any time that he shows up, it's like, wow, we're really watching something special with this character. It's like, to me, it's like every comedic villain since then, that's the bar that you're shooting for is Earl McCracken. You can't honestly get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like Judge Smales for a while, and now for me, like it's still bigger. And 30 years later, we've honestly, if there's any topic that we have covered exhaustively on this podcast over the years with the least amount of actual like interest from anybody else, it's my love of Bill Murray's performance in Kingpin. That we have done an entire episode which is inspiring me saying I think he should have really genuinely won an Oscar for this role.
Yeah,
it's magnificent, and it's the capper on the whole Bill Murray persona before he like shifts into sad sack old like dramatic actor Bill Murray.
That's true.
Pretty much, yes.
Doing it as a pure villain and closing the book.
That is interesting. That is at the time, because he makes a couple there's a couple lead roles here that are like shitty forgotten movies.
Larger Than Life. Yes.
Yeah. The Man Who Knew Too Little, which I kind of like, but like they're his dumb guy persona, which he pulls out occasionally. You know, like it's the what about Bob?
Or
Caddyshack,
the successful version of that.
They don't really work, but it's sort of his second lane, I guess.
The man who knew too little is asking a weird thing of him because he has to be the dumbest guy in the room, which I guess is Caddyshack doing, but and he has to be completely not self-aware. And, Venkman may not be actually have a higher IQ than Egon, but he is the most aware person in the room.
The most socially aware in the room, usually, and certainly the most kind of magnetic and charismatic. I guess that's sort of going on.
That's unusual.
Yeah, I bet he's oblivious, but he is sort of magnetic in Man Who Knew Too Little, I guess. Well, not really. I mean, it is sort of like a Peter Sellers role, if you think about it. He's just sort of blundering his way through a thing, and not really understanding any of it, any pieces of it. And everyone's reacting like, he must be some kind of genius. So, yeah, I mean, it is. It's sort of a being there, almost.
Yeah.
Huh. That's weird. Weird that he made that. I always thought of the dumb guy part is part of his repertoire here, but it doesn't come up that much now that I think about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a vein. Like I said, with What About Bob, you can sort of create a lane for it within this career story. But now we're getting into the latter day Bill Murray of him doing Rushmore. His dramatic turns. Rushmore, not my favorite Wes Anderson movie, but man, what a performance.
Yep. He really elevates the film, which is a good film, I think. It's sort of like the Reservoir Dogs, it's sort of like the rawest version of the thing. I like Royal Tenenbaums, Grand Budapest. Mr. Fox probably better. The grandeur of some of the later ones are better. This is, Life Aquatic, I guess, is the only real lead role that he does in Wes Anderson.
After that, yes.
Yeah.
Which I think
I love
Aquatic is underrated within the Anderson filmography. I think it gets hate. I think mainly just by a function of time that it came out at a time where oh, really? Wes Anderson's just going to do this and nothing else. That's
right.
This is all we're getting from him, and people were a little disappointed with that. I think now it's why would you want Wes Anderson to do anything else? Is how I tend to look at it. That nobody else is threatening to take this lane. Why not let him have that to himself? And for all that, I think Aquatic's is a better movie than its reputation, and I think Murray is excellent in it.
I agree,
about as good as he is in Rushmore, even though obviously Rushmore came first and made a stronger impression in that regard.
Mm-hmm. He's always great in these. Usually it's a small role these days. But he kind of knocks it out of the park whenever he's asked to do anything in a Wes Anderson film. It's an obvious kind of success pairing these guys together. And I mean, this is kind of what he does now. He's starting to become, he always wanted to be the serious actor. He always wanted to make these kind of roles, and he found a way to fold his persona into that in a successful way. And I think he got connected with these sort of indie directors. I think in the case of Wes Anderson and Sofia Coppola, it's kind of people who were maybe a generation younger than him, that, sort of grew up knowing his persona, and they're able to use him for that, knowing that era. And then Jim Jarmusch is in there as well. It seems like much more of a contemporary, but it's these sort of, 90s indie boom filmmakers kind of rediscover him and use him in a lot of their projects. And he becomes very loyal to them, appears in most of their stuff. And this is when he becomes fully a weirdo, absent Hollywood. There's the stories that you can't get a hold of him. He's got a personal phone number and that's the only way anyone can offer him a thing. And, he misses out on a ton of movies because no one could get a hold of him. There's all sorts of stories about he was supposed to star in Roger Rabbit and a bunch of things, but they just couldn't find him. Yeah.
But he did.
And then the great story that
he did answer the call for the Garfield voiceover work. Somehow,
exactly that apocryphal story.
I thought it was the other.
That he accepted the. Yeah, it's Cohen with an H was the director of the Garfield movie, and he supposedly took that role because he thought it was Joel and Ethan Cohen directing it. And said, I don't know, I guess.
Which would
I don't know. I think there's a 20% chance that's true.
Well, it would be a better story if there wasn't a sequel to Garfield that he did, because it's like that. By then, that's the story doesn't hold up when it's like, oh yeah, let's do another round of Garfield.
I mean,
why has he not been in a real Coen Brothers movie though?
That is odd, isn't it? Like, it seems like a natural fit. I mean, one bad meeting could have been enough to end that. If they got Bill on a bad day, I could see it just not working out. I mean, honestly,
That's true,
I'd
but
be
he could
into
have been
it.
in Hail Caesar, and
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like,
I mean, well,
great.
he had a good day when he met with Clooney, because they become friends as well, and
Really?
he puts in some stuff. Yes, yeah, none of it really worked out. Monuments.
Oh yeah, was he in Monuments Men?
He sure is.
Oh my god,
He was part of that. Oh my god, how could this cast be bad? And then all consensus is that it was terrible.
It's terrible.
I couldn't even get through that
Yeah.
one. That was just like, here, let's have the dullest World War II movie ever made. Thank you very much, George Clooney. That would be an
very
interesting
bizarre.
thing. Just looking back at the directorial works of George Clooney.
He's a bad director. His movies are bad. He made one really good one at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then one pretty good one right
Good
after
night,
that.
good luck.
No. Well, yes, that one is good. But Confessions of a Dangerous Mind and Good Night and Good
Oh,
Luck
yeah.
are his first two movies, and that's a promising start. That seems like okay, he's for real. And then everything he's done since then has been
Yeah, that
Like-
rowboat
like
movie.
pretty much outright bad.
Avoid that rowboat movie. That one's no good.
yeah. Is it no good? I mean, I was a
Ah.
little curious because that's my alma mater. I was gonna. I
Well,
was a little
maybe
interested.
you'll have more of a connection to it. I just
Well,
was like,
yeah.
at some point, I just said enough with the rowboats. I mean, my God.
Yeah, I don't know. I in my mind, it was like maybe it's a bit like Dead Poets, but maybe with the Social Network. But obviously, I never went and checked it out, so I didn't care that much. Anyway,
Could have used Bill
if
Murray.
Bill Murray were in it.
Yeah, that's what that would have helped.
So this is a whole era here of his career, and he's doing a lot of stuff at this time. I mean, I'm looking at his Wikipedia page right now. You remember him playing Polonius in Hamlet? You remember him playing?
Yeah, that's the Ethan Hawke one, right?
It is.
think-
It's a lesser Hamlet, I got to tell you. Murray's not bad in it.
It doesn't strike me as bad casting actually.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, the cast is cool. It has I think Kyle MacLachlan is Claudius, and I don't know, Sam Shepard is the ghost of Hamlet's father. There's some interesting stuff in there, but I don't remember liking it. He's in Osmosis Jones, of course, a classic. He's in Charlie's Angels. He's in Cradle of Rock. He's working all the time here,
A really good turn in Wild Things, another where he had a supporting part.
Oh
And kind of shows up more kind of midway through that movie, and so he was doing a lot of that around this time, just kind of showing up here and there in these movies.
Yeah. It's a lot of work in the 90s. It's kind of weird. And then he kind of hits his private phone call thing. So, I don't know. The timeline's weird. He kind of seems to pop in and out. Like he goes from very available to not available to, and I'm sure this is based on whim. And a variety of just sort of, like, no, I feel like not doing that today. I'm not showing up on set. I'm one of the most popular fucking people in the world. I'm not going to do it.
But it's probably just a quirk of that scheduling and whether he was taking calls on what weeks that had him land in Quantumania versus Thor Ragnarok or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Or like, it could have been any of those things if you catch him at the right time. If you catch him at the right time, you can get him to cameo in Zombieland, and it's delightful.
Yeah, that's one of the more successful kind of like show up for a quick, paycheck kind of roles. He's very funny in that. That's kind of the only thing I really remember about Zombieland is the Bill Murray sequence.
That's the only thing anybody remembers about Zombieland.
Yeah. Right. Let's see. Has anyone seen City of Ember? Anyone know what that is?
No, you got
that is a
me on
YA
City of Ember.
science fiction movie starring Saoirse Ronan and
Who?
Bill Murray. I mean, it's about Saoirse Ronan of Little Women and Lady Bird.
Oh, okay.
Plays the little girl who wants to learn about the secret of the City of Ember.
Is he the bad guy, or is he like a Merlin figure?
He's the bad guy. He's the evil mayor of the City of Ember. and I think he's hoarding food. And all I remember is he gets devoured by a mole at the end. A giant mole eats him. And
Sure.
Let's
Just
see,
like the
what
end
else
of
is
Razor's
going on
Edge.
here? Yeah. He's in, all the Wes Anderson films. I think Lost in Translation does him a little bit of a disservice because I think he kind of decides he needs to get an Oscar.
Yes, definitely. That's the big problem with Lost in Translation is that's even though he had done some of the Wes Anderson movies before that, I feel like Lost in Translation really put the dagger in comedic Bill Murray. I know that there's a few things here and there, but really I feel like
Yeah.
that was the movie where he's like, okay, now I've arrived. The Academy, okay, I didn't win, but they love me, and all I gotta do is just find the right project, and that Oscar gold is mine. And I think that's really kind of been where I'm not so thrilled with the later years of Bill Murray. It just despite some good turns here and there, it's just been a lot of movies I just don't really want to see, basically.
I'll disagree with you there. Not so much about wanting to see the latter day movies of the last 10, 15 years, but I don't lament the loss of comedy Bill Murray's. I feel like he had a good long run there, and I look at it's more of an evolution than a murdering of the prior persona. And I think aging into Wes Anderson and Sofia Coppola sad old man roles is a more graceful aging process than a lot of comedians are afforded on screen.
Steve Martin struggled with this,
Yeah.
He kind of found his way eventually, but he was doing stuff like, Bringing Down the House, trying to just be like, studio comedies, cheaper by the dozen. Here's what you want, right? And Bill was spared the indignity of that kind of stuff. I mean, depending on your view of how the Ghostbusters movies that he's made recently.
Sure.
But
I think that's just the industry and the legacy sequels. It comes for everybody. And there's only so many times you can turn down $4 million for a week's work.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think
I got fine.
I
he ended up in Quantumania and Frozen Empire, or whatever he was in most recently.
I think the Being Mortal experience might have had something to do with that too. Might have been like, maybe it's not the worst thing if people want to make.
I've never
millions
seen
to be.
Quantumania. What the hell does he do in it?
Oh, it's a cameo. He's
That's it.
He's like he does a Lando Calrissian thing, basically.
Okay. So he's not playing himself. He is an actual character.
No, he's a character. They go into the quantum realm where Michelle Pfeiffer had been trapped for decades, and so she's kind of showing them around, and she builds up like this. This is like a local kind of Jabba the Hutt type guy, and it reveals that it's Bill Murray, and he's like constantly implying that they had a fling together. Well, it's amusing. It's not a good movie, really, but the Bill Murray cameo is not the problem with it by any stretch. Probably the most memorable thing about it.
He betrays them to Kang, and then he is devoured by a giant monster.
It's fine. I mean, it's nothing worse than Space Jam, really. But
no, it's the same kind of deal. But so he makes a bunch of movies that are bad, and we've forgotten about him. St. Vincent, Rock the Casbah.
I saw St. Vincent in the theater. I remember nothing about it, but I remember walking out of the theater going, that was not a great movie, but Bill Murray was really good at it.
He's usually good.
In terms of just later era Bill Murray, I didn't think that was that was fine. I mean, it's in terms of, sad sack late era Bill Murray as old man whose life is in shambles. It was perfectly fine.
Well, I mean, this is sort of building, like, what I'm going to here is I do like that he's basically stopped having to make movies of that type, though. He's kind of seems content to just be Bill Murray, famous person who is beloved for the most part, showing up to work with people he likes in projects that he's somewhat interested in doing, and just kind of having a small role in The French Dispatch or Ant-Man Quantumania or The Friend with Naomi Watts. Or, I think he was in a crime film where he played a hitman this year. Like, this sort of thing really suits him, I think. And I don't think he's trying to, do any more great works. He does kind of feel to, just be lying in winter kind of right now. Like, we are We're just kind of playing it out now.
Well, it's just something that feels so foreign to us in the broader age of, just the boomers refusing to let go of all the gears of society generally, but even more specifically in Hollywood as it gets more bogged down in legacy sequels and all of that, that it feels so unusual for somebody to reach that age and continue to work, but not require that they be the star. Like, it's not, we expect it to be Liam Neeson still above the title and Taken 6 and Naked Gun and everything else, even when he's in his 70s. And Harrison Ford I don't know, he's going to do another Blade Runner legacy sequel and another Indiana Jones, probably. Like, he's everywhere. But he kind of aged gracefully. One of the least predictable things about Bill Murray, if you're reaching back to the early days.
Well,
never expected him to become an elder statesman of Hollywood.
As we were saying earlier, he's beloved despite many stories about him being an asshole. You still kind of get a thrill from seeing Bill Murray in a thing,
Yeah.
And most projects would be happy to stick Bill Murray in there for any, length of time. And, that's never really gone away. I think he's had to be careful. I think he's had to be, probably, as the internet has expanded, it's probably been a bit of a double-edged sword for him, like for most celebrities. And, all the folk stories about him, that made him so beloved, I would say in the 2010s, the no one will ever believe you kind of stuff. All that is, it certainly bolstered, his kind of bona fides as a sort of living legend, but it also maybe inoculated him a little for, the Me Too period, essentially, for the fact that people can tell stories about what an asshole you were as well, and they'll find an audience. He remains a complicated figure in that way, though. Like, if you were to tell me you don't like Bill Murray because of what an asshole he is in these stories, you read the stories about his divorce, some bad allegations there.
Oh, yeah.
I understand. I would definitely be like, yeah, okay, I get that, but I feel like most people are not.
And you it can be dismissive of some stuff, but it's also like, it seems like to alienate Harold Ramis for 10 years at a time requires a genuine level of assholery. That's
for real.
Not like two prickly people not getting along exactly like you would have done. There must be something there that you should be genuinely not proud of.
There is if you listen to the Ghostbusters commentary track, it's very funny, first off, and it's Ramis and Aykroyd. It's an old one. And there's some moments where they talk kind of candidly about Bill Murray that are quite fascinating. And it's also sort of bracing because they're not speaking of him with any sort of, any of the reverence that, Bill Murray kind of has accrued as a cultural figure. They are speaking with him as people who've worked with him and know him well. And like they're talking about the big scene with the possessed Dana Barrett in the apartment. And Harold's like, yeah, a lot of time, people ask me how much this was improvised by Bill. And, and I tell them, no, Bill actually has the good sense to deliver good dialogue when it's in front of him. So, yeah. Which speaks to the relationship quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, I can guarantee that when they do the inevitable either, Netflix or HBO Max doc on Bill Murray, they're going to gloss over the difficult stuff. It ain't going to be like the Chevy Chase doc. I can guarantee you that. So no way.
Well, it's not going to be like the John Candy one either, though.
No,
it's not going to be everyone loved him all the time.
It'll be closer to Candy than Chase. It would be my prediction.
It'll be closer to Candy than Chase. Yes,
I agree with Chris there. All right, we should probably wrap this up here pretty soon. I think we should go around though and pick sort of best our favorite Murray comedy performance, favorite drama performance, and favorite Murray movie overall.
Okay. Yeah.
So for comedy, I'm gonna jump in first and grab Kingpin before anybody can touch it because it's my beloved. I think it's the best, one of the best comedic performances ever.
I will take. I'm gonna just be boring and say Ghostbusters. I think it's an incredible performance. I think the original Ghostbusters is my favorite comedy performance of Bill Murray.
Yeah, I'm just gonna outright just steal your answer and just say Kingpin is his best comedic performance. I mean, that's the one for me. So I'm gonna stick with that.
All right. For drama, is it just between Rushmore and Lost in Translation? Is that the only? Is there a case to be made anywhere else?
I'm actually going to pick The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Oh, okay.
I love him in that. I think it's a great film.
I guess I'll go with Lost in Translation because it's pure drama more than the Anderson ones.
Yeah, it is.
I'll go just because nobody ever talks about it. I'll just go Mad Dog and Glory. Just because I really think that he does such a really good job as just kind of a dangerous mobster, and I think he pulls it off. So I'm going to go with that one.
Have you guys seen The Phoenician Scheme? He plays God.
Yes, but that's not a dramatic performance.
No, he's funny, isn't it?
I think we glossed over Lost in Translation a bit there.
We did. There's a lot here, man. There's more than I really expected going in. This is
50 years in comedy and drama.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, we didn't mention his performance as Baloo in The Jungle Book, only in passing.
I think Lost in Translation, I mean, I understand it sort of deranging him a little bit about the Oscar being in reach. It almost feels like, though, if it didn't happen for Rushmore or Lost in Translation, like, the only way it's going to happen is as a Lifetime Achievement, a thing that is for the exact wrong movie.
I don't know if he ends up in the right project, like some supporting role in in Tarantino's last film or something. Like, I could see it happening, you know. Like, sure. It just, if somebody gets him at the right place at the right time, though, that's what it's going to take. And you know, that's certainly not guaranteed.
Just the exhaustion that he brings to that role is really good. I mean, it's there in Rushmore too, but that's a more sprightly movie, and you know, when I think of dramatic Bill Murray, like the scene where he's talking to his wife, he's in the bathtub, and she asks, like, "Do I need to be worried about you?" And he just kind of like sighs. It's like, only if you want to. Like, something about that delivery is so perfect in the way, like, you know, you think of these perfect Bill Murray line deliveries from his heyday of smarminess in the 80s. But that's what I think of when I think of 2000s era sad Bill Murray. And why he's perfect casting for that role. I can't imagine anybody doing a better line delivery of that than him.
Okay, couple quick TV projects. Very quick. Sorry. The Very Merry Christmas special on Netflix is excellent. If anyone,
with all the brothers.
Oh,
no,
right.
no,
it's just him.
It's just it's him and a bunch of guest cameos. You know, but it's like an old school Christmas special. It's like 45 minutes long. Directed by Sofia Coppola.
Wow.
And it's just Bill Murray in the basement of the Carlisle Hotel during a winter snowstorm. Performing musical numbers with like a variety of interesting people, like Maya Rudolph, David Johansen, of you know, the New York Dolls, you know, Chris Rock, I think.
Wow.
And it's great. It's really a terrific, like, little musical number heavy Christmas special with a bunch of guests, like old school, you know, TV special for Christmas, directed by Sofia Coppola. It's sad. It's funny. I strongly recommend that for Christmas. You know, now it's March, we're recording this, but next Christmas, if you remember it, it's really good. We watch it most years.
Yeah. Along with Scrooge, that gives Murray a stronger Christmas presence than I would have anticipated.
Yeah. Oddly enough. And has anyone familiar with The Sweet Spot by any chance?
Nope.
No, I am not. No.
That is, it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. But it was in 2002. He got a show on Comedy Central, which is him and all his brothers touring golf courses. And
okay.
Unwatchable.
I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
That's what, when you said the Christmas special, I thought, it must be connected to that golf thing he did with his brothers for Comedy Central somehow.
No, this is just a different, like, it is it's the most self-indulgent thing I've ever seen. It looks like a scam. It is basically unwatchable. It is just
if there's anybody that you will just
vacation.
allow to be like, that's a scam, good for you for getting one over on those suits. You still got that he did enough of the snobs versus slobs thing that even when he's rich and famous, we can still accept him as pulling one off on the executive somehow. I mean, that's my knee-jerk reaction to it.
No, that's exactly how it feels. It's not fun to watch, but it's delightful to exist. So not a recommendation. It's just sort of a demonstration of why we love it, I suppose.
For what it's worth, Joel Murray, quite good on Mad Men.
He's a good actor in his own right. Yes, he's appeared in many things. He's good in that Bobcat Goldthwait movie.
Oh yeah,
I never saw that.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Scabrous satire of American culture. It was God Bless America, I think it's called?
I think that's the name.
Yes,
of it,
we'll do our Bobcat Goldthwait miniseries at some point. But, for now, we gotta cap it off. Favorite overall Bill Murray movie?
I'm just gonna say Ghostbusters. It's just that's the one. I mean, it's
certainly the most important in my life.
Yeah.
Just narratively, it's got to be Ghostbusters. Yeah.
I'm not going to give the real answer. Then I will just say I'll say Quick Change, just as for the purpose of highlighting an underseen Bill Murray movie that I think is good. And I wouldn't put it up there as one of his best performances, but I do like it as a movie, and I think it's underrated. And I want to encourage
it's outstanding. It's a top 5 one for me easily. I really enjoy that one.
I would say if you haven't seen The Man Who Wasn't There, The Man Who Wasn't There, if you haven't seen
that's a good movie.
The Man Who Knew Too Little, it's pretty funny, and he's funny in it. So, there's some good stuff out there that no one saw. The elephant one's bad though. All right, thank you, Chris. Thank you for joining us and talking about Bill Murray. We had a lot to say on this one. I appreciate you being here for us. And what am I saying? Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for joining us to talk about Bill Murray.